morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Some people say it feels like a Monday, but we are here. Sun is out. I was looking in my garden yesterday, and after that moisture we got and the warmth we've got, everything has just exploded. And they're calling for a bit more moisture this week. Bring it on, I say. 12 inches of snow. Nope. Some showers and a little bit of rain. Yup, I can take that. So what we're going to do, we're going to continue on talking about everything. So this week we're talking about the garden waking up and what we can do to help the garden wake up. And if you remember yesterday, we talked about like a gentle raking on the lawn to lift the grass. We talked about cleaning and pruning and that kind of stuff. Then we talked about amending soil. And I thought what we would do today is we would talk more about soil. Soil is like plants. And what I mean by that is you ask somebody what soil is, they know, but they don't know. Like you say, what's a plant? Somebody will be like, oh, a tree. And then you're like, well, give me an example. And as you go further, a lot of people don't know, and I get it. You ask me something in the world of electrical or plumbing or something like that. Sure, I know what electrical is, and then you're like, oh, what exactly is a resistor? And I'm like, things that resist. I don't really know much more. What's a fuse? Something that trips occasionally in the box and stops my microwave from working. Like I don't know because I've never really gotten into it. And once I talk to an electrician or a plumber or somebody in that field, yeah, they understand more and they can tell me about it. So I thought what we would do today is we would jump into soil and we would discuss kind of what soil is, how we understand it, how it works, and the differences in what we purchase and what it is made of. So when we talk about soil, when we talk about soil in general, in our flower beds, in the forest, what we have here, soil is very simple. It's a mix, and it's a mix of organic material. I dotted my I before I drew my eye. That was pretty impressive. Organic material, air, gas, water, or moisture. I mean, people say, well, there's liquids, moisture. It's mainly water. You don't want to get oil in there. You don't want Coca-Cola. And at the end of the day, once all of that stuff is broken down, not oil, but pops and stuff like that, you're left with water. So I'm going to say water. Minerals are in there, and organisms. Nematodes, earthworms, microscopic, tiny things, up to beetles.
You have to move the topsoil. No one can see anything.
Nobody can see what I'm doing. I'm just back here doodling away to myself. And this is all made of decaying matter. So what we have there, well, it doesn't matter if anybody can see, my handwriting is atrocious. Handwriting when I take my time with fancy pens, handwriting when I'm on a time limit and trying to crouch down as I go.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically what it is soil is made of layers. And the top layer is our organic material. It's the humus. I always want to say hummus. What's the difference between black-eyed peas and chickpeas? Black-eyed peas can sing us a song, but chickpeas can only hummus one.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, it's humus, not hummus, and it's not made of chickpeas, but it could be.
Yeah.
So what happens, and we'll go into the wild for a second here, into a forest. Everybody's familiar with forests, I think, parks, the mountains, all of that. And leaves fall and branches fall, needles fall from trees, all of that. The deer poop in there, everything like that. And what happens is it mixes with the air, the gas, and the water, and there's a natural mineral content happening. And then all of the organisms, beetles and worms and nematodes and microscopic bacteria and things we can't see are all active in there, and it all gets mixed up and it decays and it becomes what we know as soil. So soil in and of itself, and again, very rudimentary. We could talk for a long time about all the different layers, but soil essentially is made up of our top, which is our humus, the next, which is topsoil. Now, for us, those are the two that we are mainly going to concern ourselves with. Those are the ones that, as gardeners, we work with the closest. However, then we have subsoil, so-called, because that's where you find submarines. Then we have parent, the parent layer, and then we have bedrock, okay, which is where the Flintstones live. I just aged myself horribly. So the bedrock, let's work our way up because these are the two that we're going to talk about. So let's quickly cover these three. The bedrock is what everything is built off of. That can be, you know, relatively close to the surface if you're directly in the mountains, to way like meters, hundreds of meters down as you get out to like towards the prairies and stuff like that. So depending on how close you are to rock, you know, if you're doing a house in Canmore or Banff, you're probably going to hit bedrock a lot quicker than if you're doing one in Saskatoon. So that's where the bedrock comes in, and it's just a very solid layer. It doesn't really move a lot. It kind of grounds everything. The parent layer is, if you think about in Calgary, our parent layer would probably be a heavy clay. Okay, that's what we see come up to the top a lot. That's what gets mixed a lot, and that's where we are. The subsoil is a mixture of our topsoil and our parent layer. So when you've dug down quite a way in Calgary, if you're doing an excavation, if you look at where they're building a new house, maybe sometimes when you're planting a tree, depending on where you are, you can start getting into this where you're like, oh, it's a heavy clay, but it's breaking apart relatively easy. Then we get to topsoil, which is literally this, which is a great layer. It's nice and heavy. It holds the moisture. It's wonderful. And then the humus layer, or the surface layer, which is all of that organic breaking down in the forest. Now, in our gardens, every year we clean up in the fall and the spring, and we've been talking about that. We take this out. We eliminate that right out of there. We don't allow the leaves to break down. We don't have the time. It doesn't bug clean. I'm worried about what bugs are in there. Maybe there's a mildew or something. So we eliminate that straight out of there. And we need to replenish that. So that's why when we amend our soil and we are adding compost and manure and volcanic minerals and worm castings, any coir, peat moss, we are recreating this humic level, this surface level for the rest of it. Our topsoil should be there, and yeah, some subsoil. So one thing I'll mention is all of this, it's not stationary. Okay, this is all changing. We've got worms and organisms, and you know, raccoons and moles are digging into there, rabbits. So all of this is constantly active and alive, and it's changing. And there are things happening all through this. Like I said, all the way down to microscopic bacterias and beneficial bacterias. Bacteria is not a bad word. Bacteria is a defining word. There are good bacterias and bad bacteria. We get them on our skins, we get them in our bodies, we get them in our soils. And all of this is breaking down to create the layers that we need. Now, again, as gardeners, the two layers we are most interested in, okay, are the, use brown, soil.
Yeah.
Are the humus and the topsoil, okay? And basically, if you look, the humus, again, that's your compost and whatnot. The topsoil is your foundation. This is where you want to live. So when you plant your new plants and you've got your nice cemented soil, and remember, I always say 2 to 4 inches, and you put your little pots in, and they're like, oh yeah, I love this. This is awesome. As the roots grow, they start getting into our topsoil. And the topsoil is where it's at. Like, look at that. I can clump that and I can make it into big, and that's dry. This has been sitting in our greenhouse soil ball fight. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
But this clumps really well, so it holds moisture, it holds roots. It's fantastic. Then earthworms come along. Hey, they break it open. Okay, so that I solved myself.
Oh my gosh.
Bazinga. But this is where it's all happening. This is what's going to support your roots. It's going to feed. This is an incredible layer of earth that's going to feed it. And you may have noticed, and I'm never going to correct anybody if they say this to me, okay? But here's a point I want to bring up. Soil versus dirt, okay? This isn't dirt. Dirt is what you sweep off your floors. Dirt is what's in your vacuum. You take a pile of dirt, I take a pile of soil, we'll have a growing competition. I'm probably going to win, unless you're growing more dirt. But that's the difference. I don't ever call this dirt. Now, people come in and they go, hey, I'm looking for your dirt. I know they're talking about soil. I'm going to take them to the soil. I'm not here to correct anybody. It's been called that for so long. If you look at old gardening books back 20, 30, 40 years ago, some of them still use the term dirt. So I'm not going to correct anybody on that, but this is indeed soil. Great thing about it, I spill it, oh, it's on the counter, it's dirt, I sweep it back into the soil pile, it just became soil. So look at that. And then the other one I want to talk about is ones like this. Nowhere here does it say soil. Okay, you look at this, and the guys opened this one upside down, but it says topsoil. I literally can't flip it. I mean, I'm all for making a mess, but that's even excessive for me. That literally says soil. This says mix. You look on that, there are no ingredients because we can't give you the ingredients. We don't know. There's bits of wood in here. There's broken down leaves. There's probably organisms in here that I can't see right now. There's nematodes. This is everything that broke down into this layer and got mixed into the topsoil. Like I said, it's always moving. Leave it in the wild, that parent material is going to push through and the humus is going to push down, and it's always interchanging. Like when a kangaroo is digging in it, it's mixing it up. So it's always going to be mixed. I take this potting mix, and literally there is something on the back. I could read them out, ingredients. So this is a peat-based growing mix. This is a soil, and that's the difference. You have growing mix or growing medium, either are correct, soil and dirt. They're not the same. They're very different, and they have different applications. I would never, ever, ever take a house plant, okay, like this, in a pot and put it in topsoil. The topsoil is too heavy, okay? I scrunch it, I can make balls. I scrunch this, and it just breaks apart loose again in my hand. So, see the differences, okay? This one is, again, dry, but it's still scrunching. This just falls apart. Hey, presto, look, I just made a blend. That's how easy it is to blend them. It was dirt, it was mixed, and now it's soil. Woo! But that's the difference. This is lighter. It's got better drainage. So this is more, if you will, it's a peat moss. A peat moss is an amendment. So this is more our humus or our surface layer that adds more porosity and allows drainage. And this is our topsoil. So you have a massive, massive raised planter. Sure, add some topsoil. It's good stuff. And add your amendments on the top. But if you've got a small pot, something you're putting annuals in, stay away from topsoil. It's too heavy. This is better for our garden beds. This is better for our plants, and dirt is better in the vacuum. So that was the real skinny. I can't believe it went by that quick. I have more to talk about, specifically kangaroos, worms, and nematodes. Those are the ones that really I like to focus on, but I'm out of time. So we'll have to continue on that. No, have a great Wednesday, everybody. We're already halfway through the week. We have a webinar coming up on Saturday. This morning, I was talking to my friends at CTV, so we'll see you for that. As always, a massive thank you to Brandy for being there. She's the best. I waved at her this morning. She ignored me. Whatever. One-sided friendship. That's cool. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow, okay? Bye now.